Got it.
Okay, we are here.
Stream.
They're on YouTube now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living, to our Lifeline program. Let's apologize for the delay in our beginning. We had some, what they call technical difficulties, so we had to switch platforms, and here we are. I truly acknowledge those of you who chose to stay with us. Thank you so much for your patience, and we are just so delighted that you chose to join us. Let's begin, as we always begin, with prayer. And I'd like to invite our Minister, Reverend Anshan, to lead us in prayer.
Oh, yes. We just give thanks for that power and presence expressing itself right here, right now. It's omnipresent, streaming forth through each and every person that is a part of this live stream event called Lifeline, living the science of mind in a way that allows us to experience our best life. So we know for Christine, our keynote speaker, we know for Sandy, we know for myself, I know for our tech team and all those who are with us now, that every idea for our highest expression of what is just joyful, what is loving, and indeed what is indeed delightful this evening is indeed the power and the presence of God moving through this perfect idea called Lifeline. Oh, I give thanks for a wonderful evening as I release my word to that law that makes it so. And so it is.
So it joyfully is. Thank you so much, Reverend Ann. Friends, you know, as we sat here waiting for our technical stuff to be sorted out, it was just so good to be reminded and to remind ourselves that God is all there is. And even in the so-called technical challenges, we were all sitting just patiently, you know, pressing one button after the other to just make sure that we could sort our issues and so that we could be with you this evening. You know, Lifeline came into being in 2020 when we were at the height of the pandemic. And it was an opportunity for us to just share an hour with you, an hour of what we call connectivity, liberty, love, and laughter, and to create some new ways of being so that we could have a more fair, faith-based consciousness rather than a fear-based consciousness. And we wanted to look at the spiritual tools and strategies that we could use to enable each and every one of us to rise above and, you know, consciously respond to the challenges being faced. Now we continue. And this evening we have a fabulous guest. So let me just tell you a little bit about her. She's a media entrepreneur, and she broke the glass ceiling in journalism decades ago and found the perfect balance between managing the news and the social scene. She made a successful career in the world of newspapers and is one of Jamaica's respected journalists, having been designated Media Personality of the Year by the Advertising Agencies Association of Jamaica in 2011. Known by many as the Lady of Class, she's a retired newspaper owner and veteran print media journalist of over 35 years. She's renowned for having conceptualized, produced, edited, and published the popular award-winning Pure Class weekly tabloid for the Sunday Herald, where she was co-publisher, managing director, and editorial executive. She also worked at the Gleaner and the Jamaica Record and holds the distinction of being the first woman in the media industry to own major shares in a national newspaper. Currently, she's a consultant with her own online company, Freelance Works RCK, from which she offers technical professional services such as content writing, media releases, social media management, proofreading and transcribing, as well as on the Fiverr platform. Our guest has just completed a book on iconic Jamaican designer Frances Keane, and along with the Reverend Elmer Publishers, she's currently collating the sermons of Temple of Light founder Reverend Elmer Lumsden for publication under the auspices of the soon-to-be established Reverend Elmer Lumsden Ministry Foundation. She's a 7-year breast cancer survivor and is a member of the Jamaica Cancer Society and Jamaica Reach for Recovery, often giving talks on breast cancer awareness and her dance with cancer. She's also dedicated to her alma mater, St. Hugh's High School, serving as secretary to the executive of the Past Students Association. She's a member of the board of the Temple of Light Center for Spiritual Living and is an active part of the tech team. She's involved with several professional and vocational institutions, including the Jamaica Employers Federation Convention 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, I do invite you to join me in welcoming, she's known as R. Christine King. We know her as Christine. Welcome, Christine. It is so good to have you on Lifeline this evening.
Thank you, Sandy. Whew, wow, that was certainly a mouthful, just listening in. One of the things I'd like to change, though, thank you all for being here and thank you all for your patience. One of the things I like to change, though, because words mean a lot, is I am not a breast cancer survivor. I am not a survivor, I'm a warrior.
A warrior.
The word
Tell us about
survive,
that.
the word survive for me, which appeals to me is that, boy, you just hold on, you just survive. And I'm not. I'm way beyond that, right? I had a lovely sojourn with breast cancer. I kicked it in along with traditional medicine, as well as my whole spiritual principles with the Temple of Light, the religious science of mind teachings. Because what happens that my body does not do very well with medication. My body, I have some very, very serious adverse reactions to medication. And for about 2-3 years, I was just in agony. And I felt within myself that I cannot cope with life this way. I have to, I have to do something about it. I went to the oncologist, they changed my medication on, 2 or 3 occasions, and I still had difficulty. I would just burst out crying. When I sit down, I can hardly get up. I felt like I was about 400 years old. That's how old I felt. Everything in my body just felt creaky. And then during the pandemic, being at home, not as active as I normally was before that, I just decided that, you know what, I'm going to stop taking these medications, God is going to help me through it somehow, some way or the other. And that's exactly, what I did. Because it brought me back to the thing about mindfulness, It has a lot to do with how I dealt with the diagnosis, right? Because I think it's my mindfulness also, which, attracted this cancer to me. Right, and as a religious science of mind student, and being spiritually attuned, one of the things that came to mind, I pondered the words of its founder. Train yourself to think what you wish to think, be what you wish to be, feel what you wish to feel, and place a limit and place no limit on life. Right, and I'm to look within my heart to find the lesson that Spirit has chosen to learn from this experience of cancer.
But hold on a second, Christine. Because I'm really moved by the story. But I'm hearing you talk about the experience you had with the medication, and I'm hearing you talk about the strength of being a warrior, not a survivor. But tell us from the beginning, when you talked about mindfulness, Was it your experience of mindfulness that made you discover that you had this condition? And then how did you react and what did you do to move into that space of getting treatment and then moving towards healing?
Yeah, the mindfulness of breast cancer was, I mean, that came after. That came after I'd gone through it and reflecting on exactly what happened. And, you know, getting to know who I am some more, you know, being really immersed in the teachings of Science of Mind. You know, having Reverend John, having Reverend Anne, and as well as Jennifer and other temple stalwarts, along with yourself, and, you know, just working with me, helping me. You know, I just realized that it's where my mind was at that particular point in time, that I strongly believe that I attracted the cancer to my body and to myself, right? And then, you know, when I got it now, and I mean, I took action immediately because it was it was a very small nodule, right? And my doctor just said, come, you know, we're just gonna get rid of this thing once and for all. So within less than a month, I had got the date to have surgery, did all the tests, you know, did the biopsy, went through the whole works, did everything. And then I was saying to my oncologist that, you know, I would love to have my birthday party before I have the surgery. And he suggested that I have the surgery before I have the birthday party. And I will be fine and well in time for my birthday then. Right? So the cancer itself and having it was not really a major problem. The problem was the medication that I was placed on. I just could not find a medication that worked with my body. And normally I'm allergic to aspirin and I'm allergic to penicillin. And I'm allergic to anything that ends with IN, right? That's what my body is all about. So, I mean, when they change it, you know, and they changed from tamoxifen and they went into another one, letrozole and all different, and a third one, anastrozole. I can't remember them now. It's been such a long time to me. But it was making me sick. I was just being sick. I mean, I remember one night I collapsed on the bathroom floor and I couldn't stand up and I couldn't move. And I had to have my family give me a little one of those alert buttons that if anything happened to me, that I could alert, you know, I could make
Call
sure
for help.
as well.
Yes.
Right, you know, and then to have my grandson was my little, he was about 8, 9 then, you know, and he was just like my angel. My doctor, my nurse called him my armor, but he was like my little angel. He was always around, always to make sure that, you know, all was going good with me and that I was fine.
Okay. So Christine, you were a formidable presence in the media. So even before you experienced breast cancer, tell us a little bit about, you know, the earlier days in media. What made you choose journalism? You were a publisher, you were an owner in a major newspaper. How did all of that happen? How did that start?
You know, one of the things I've always said about my life, I think I lived my life by default. I was on default mode. Or one could say that I just attracted all of these things to me because I work in a number of places and I went to the Gleaner to work. Right? I was such a long time ago. It was umpteen years ago. And then, you know, and we went to university after that, you know, while working at the Gleaner. And I learned, I mean, the Gleaner was really what you call, it's like a powerhouse of learning. There were so many different departments, so many different things to learn. It was all new, it was all exciting, and there was a whole band of, you know, girls and girls who helped us younger ones to move ahead. We used to have classes every Saturday morning. We used to have these classes, Joe Gregory, in what was the auditorium. Then it's now a computer department now. So, there was always something new to learn, the whole excitement of seeing people coming in and going out and, being, writing stories and all of that. I was totally, and I had a talent in terms of writing. I love to write more than I love to chat, right? So I had the talent to write and a great personality in terms that I make friends very easily. And I get on well with people. And I'm a very easy, calm. The spirit always is forever within me. Just calm and easy. Nothing bothers me, nothing worries me. Right? And I mean, I think I've gotten better over the years. But in those early years, it was just fun, just being a newspaper woman, as well as being a model.
I remember that. In fact, I
As
did
well as
that as
being-
your resume. That's the first time
That's
I
true.
met you. You were modeling at the Wyndham.
Yeah,
I remember that very well.
Yeah, and I used to do modeling. I used to do that. I actually had a grooming school once upon a time, mahogany modeling and grooming school. I also did some grooming school with Frances Fields and her daughters. And I also taught grooming at my high school for the first, for first and
At
second
St.
formers
Hughes.
at St. Hughes High. So, I've done quite a bit in terms of
Yes.
grooming and in terms of writing. And I mean, I have covered so many personalities in Jamaica, right across the landscape, with politics, entertainers, celebrity. I mean, I've just done it. I've, gone overseas, to do overseas assignments. So I give thanks that, a whole world opened up for me until I was offered to buy shares in a major newspaper in the Jamaica Record. It was then, and along with the backing and the help of a dear friend of mine who shall remain nameless, I just jumped in and that's it. And then,
remember
even though I
that,
had no faith, no faith in
Yes.
myself to be able to run that company. I mean, my colleagues, Franklin McKnight, Cliff Hughes, was forcing me into staying at the helm of it and to do it. Oh, Christine, you can do it. But I can tell you that I just had no faith in myself in terms of running a major newspaper.
Mhm.
You're
You know,
saying something?
I recall, I think that's when I met you at the temple. Because many years ago, when
Oh, yes.
when the Jamaica Record was being published, you approached me and asked me to write an article for you every week.
We sure did.
And that's the first time I ventured into writing, and I'd like to acknowledge you for that. The record went on for quite a while, and then it
20 years.
evolved. And then the Jamaica Herald, was it how did that transition occur from the record to the Herald?
I never know how the transition happened from the record to the Herald. Oh, I think it happened when Mark Ricketts, who actually started the record, when he fell out and Never Blight really took over the helm of the newspaper. And the name was changed, and we moved uptown because we were downtown first at West Street, and then we moved uptown to Malines Road, at the Jamaica Herald. And that was quite an interesting time also, right? Because he, Never Blight was insurance company, and really got involved in the media business, and helped a group of us together to put the paper together and to publish until when he got tired of it.
But something is really striking me. You said that you were, well, my words, you didn't think very much of yourself at the time, and yet still here was this opportunity that came for you. What do you think closed the gap that moved you from being perhaps, as I said, my words, uncertain, lacking in confidence and to take on this major national newspaper.
I'm
And
not gonna say no, you know.
so well at the time.
No, because I mean, even though I feel, even for very many years of my life, I really felt that, oh my God, that's not for me at all. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I do better in position number 2 than I do in position number 1. That's how I saw myself. That's how I put myself. And it's amazing because even though I did that to myself, I was always being pushed to position number 1, right? And even though I felt that, I could not do it, I just seemed to have people around me. The forces just came out to assist me, to help me to do the things that needed to be done, to make it work, to make it successful, to make things go the way it ought to go.
Mhm.
So I just said, one, it can be by default, and secondly, that the forces just kind of coalesced in the universe and came into my direction and helped me to make a success of all the things that I have, undergone.
You spoke about you referred to it as your dance with cancer, and you have had other challenges as well. What is it that that has made Rowena Christine King thrive and sort of just rise, navigate these experiences and rise to overcome, so to speak?
I would say when I just surrendered myself to the God, the universe, I do believe there's a God. I do believe that God looks after me. I do believe that God cares for me, right? And despite what people might say, is that I am a strong believer that there is a God.
Mm.
My God is right here with me, that works with me, and who I have to pay more attention to and listen to. And I'm beginning to, well, I am doing that now in terms of the mornings when I wake up, in terms of my meditation practices. It's just I'll be still and I am guided. I am guided, and miracles still do happen in my life. Right?
Yes.
So I think, so it's just my belief in God, my belief in
Yes.
God, and my belief in the principles of the science of mind, which kind of gives you tools to work with in terms of navigating your day-to-day life and to go through the experiences that what you have to go.
Tell us
Because
about one of those tools, what it is and how you have used it.
one of the tools that I would say is that it's a down-to-earth way of thinking, right? I can think it makes what the science of religious science makes sense to me. I can think of there's a power that rests, that resides in me. That whatever I want for my life, I can design my life. I can create my life. I can make the choices, whatever I make. It's up to me for the choices I make. Whatever happens to me, it's not Reverend Anne's fault, not Sharon's fault, not Jackie's fault. It all comes back to who Christine King is and who Christine King is being. That is what I've learned in terms of the temple of the religious science of mind, is that I need to take responsibility for myself and the things that I do. Right? I am the one that I have to think. And since my God is down here with me and my God is working with me, for God's sake, child, you gotta take, you gotta wake up and smell the coffee. My God is not somewhere above in the sky. That man, that God that created me, making writing down my sins and waiting for me to death so he can, he can usher out the punishment that I need to get. He's right here. He works with me morning, noon, and night. And I find that the older I become, is the more I get more immersed in really wanting to understand this thing called me and this thing called life.
Wow, it sounds to me like you have a real up close personal relationship with your God, with that divine presence. Wow.
Work in progress.
Reverend Anne?
Yeah, ask Christine a question. Christine, you have a wonderful relationship with your grandson. I have watched him growing under, I tell you, it's the connection between the two of you is something to really cherish. Can you give us grandmothers a few hints on how to navigate to get that wonderful relationship between just that almost mirrors the one with you and your grandson?
Oh dear. That's a tall one. That's a tall one. I just think that there has been a symbiotic relationship with Tyrell from the day he was born. Because I met him when he was just a couple hours old.
Oh,
When I met him at the hospital. And I have really been with him for most of his life.
mhm.
Although I think I spent more time with the elder one than the younger one. But somehow there's something between Tyrell and myself that connects. And we get on. And he flies off the handle with me quite a number of times. More times than I care to remember. But he has his own way of coming back
Mm,
as everything is going to be fine and everything is okay. Because like right now, we're not on the best of terms at all. Right? He's gone off again. But guess what? He's 15. He's a young man. He's growing up. You know what I mean? The hormones are working alive and going crazy in his body. But we get on well. I think we have a respect for each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I used to quarrel with him in the earlier days. But now if he does something and I don't like it, I will just say something positive and uplifting to say, I don't think that I would do that if I were you,
he will say
or
that to you.
not to say don't do that, don't do that,
Oh, you to him.
I would say like, if I were you, I wouldn't do something like that. So you find different ways of how you coach your language in terms of speaking with him, not to berate him, not to put him down,
Mm,
but it's just to help him
Mm-hmm.
grow into the fabulous young man that he
yes.
is.
Oh,
Because
that's so
even
true.
for the temple, once upon a time I used to say, hey, are we going to church on Sunday? Nowadays I don't have to do that. Right? He asks me if I'm going to church. And he has to go to church this Sunday or that Sunday, and he has to do this and he has to do that. And I need to remember, that he has rehearsals on a Saturday evening and all of those things.
Mm,
So what I do appreciate and I give God thanks for is that he's balancing his life, the spiritual aspect of his life, and he likes to come into the young people's meetings, right? It's balancing that aspect of his life with his schoolwork and all the other things that he's also involved in.
Reverend Anne spoke about the grandparenting, but you had practice before that as a
With them
mother.
parents, yeah.
As
Yeah,
a
but I
mother.
need the parents to do what they need to do. I'm the grandparent.
Yeah, how do you compare?
You heard that.
How do you compare?
I mean,
I
a
heard
business not, one of the things I know always say, business not them business. That is the father, that is the mother, me is the grandmother. So I have to
yeah.
find a space that I can fit in, allow them to raise their child in the way that they want to raise their child. Whatever input I have, I suggest it, I can make it, but I am not going to be no hard and fast that you have to do this and you have to do that and whatnot.
Understood. So
It's just
there's
a conversation the way, because his dad and his mom are Catholics. They go to Stella Maris Church. He and I are the only ones who come to Temple of Light.
Mhm,
And Tyrell will go, ever so often, he will go to church with his dad and his mom. And then he leaves and comes to church with me.
mhm,
So he likes where he's at. He likes the teachings of where he's at. He likes the involvement. He likes to be, he's involved in terms of things happening there. He participates in things. He's on the tech team. And he's quite, I think he likes what he's doing.
mhm. Awesome. Awesome. So
Awesome.
you have had an amazingly colorful life. I mean, as a media person, a model media person, you've been a mother, you've been a grandmother. You have that amazingly close relationship with your grandchildren, and we know, of course, of the one that you have with Tyrell. And you are now in a different place. You have a new business. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, girl, when my company closed, when the Sunday Herald closed, oops, it's a decade now, you know. Wow. I really fell in depression.
Mhm.
I really blamed myself. I took it very, very personally that I don't feel at anything, you know. No matter how treacherous the journey is, no matter the ups and downs, you know, the hills and valleys,
You stay with it.
you know, I'm going to stay with it until the very end because it's going to turn. As far as I'm concerned, it's going to turn. It's going to be it's a successful company in one way, but it's not successful in the financial aspect of life, right? So when it closed, I mean, I think I took it personally.
Yes.
I took it very, 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 very personally. You know, it really got into my soul. And I remember that I was like, you know, and then about this time now, I was going to live. I had moved into my children, my children's house. And one of the things that got to me was that same little one I called Terrell. He came to me one day. He said at dinner, because we always have Sunday religiously. We all have dinner on a Sunday evening at 4 o'clock, 4:30, as a family. During the week, we pass each other and hi, hello, and what have you. On a Sunday, we sit down to dinner. This is Mr. Query, Madam Query. We have to sit down to dinner. We discuss issues and we talk about things and what have you as a family on a Sunday evening. So what happened then was that I remember that when Tyrell came and he said, Lord, got me just lying in the bed like a little baby who not born yet. Because I was always curled up. I was always curled up in the bed, feeling
Oh.
sorry for myself, feeling sick, you know, feeling embarrassed, feeling guilty, feeling all the feelings, the negative feelings that I just was embracing. And I remember when he said that, I just had to get up and get out, and I started back my landmark classes. Landmark is a
Mhm.
self-development that goes into yourself, what you're thinking, what you're doing, how you feel about something, your interpretations of life. And I went through all of that again. And then I got involved with Conversations of Greatness, which expanded it even wider in terms of, how I was being and the person that I was being. And even some things that happened, I realized, oh, Christine, you got to step back a little bit sometimes, reflect, and look at things. Because when you see things away, in a particular way, you can't change it. You can't do anything about it, If nobody can change your mind. Because if I see a stone out there, so, and as long as I have that stone in my head out there, nobody can tell me, say you need to move it or you'll get a different reaction. I wasn't like that at all. I just would not deal with that situation. Yeah, so after a while I decided, okay, so what am I gonna do? Okay, what am I gonna do? I don't see myself working for anybody after I worked on my own for so long. And then I went online. I went online and I'm good at writing. I write very, very well. So
Mhm.
I just joined up on Fiverr online and started doing some online work. And then what I find is a lot of people outside of that, people were asking me to do stuff. And I'm just building my online business, and with the new AI in place now, this is just absolutely fantastic. The things that one can do with the help of the enhancement of AI.
Mhm. Wow, awesome.
Oh,
How did you embrace the science of mind during this valley of the shadow period of feeling alone, and you talked about the depression. How did that help?
can you repeat that, please?
How did you embrace the science of mind teaching during the time when you really were challenged after you had closed your business and the business closed and you were in that funky space? How did you use the science of mind to
Girl,
rise?
me just get up out of my bed and put on my clothes after my grandson look for me and tell me so that I'm coming like one little baby, and me just wrap up myself in the bed and not going anywhere, not doing anything, just there. right? He didn't like how I looked and how I was reacting and how I was behaving then.
Out of the mouth of
Put on
babes.
the clothes and start come back to temple on a Sunday morning. Because I mean,
Yes.
I've been with temple for, oh my God, for over 30 odd years now, nearly 40 years, long time, long time. But then I had stopped. You know, I got caught up in what they call the world.
Mhm.
And I mean, there were more important things than going out on a Saturday night and you've been late and the next morning you can't wake up to go to church. And
Mhm.
you know what I mean? It was
Yes, yes.
not, after a while, church was not the important thing in my life. My spirituality was not really where it ought to have been. You know, I kind of, as we all do, as I still do, fall off the, fall off the, whatever it is I fall off and just, go and do my own thing. But then when I started back, this is about what, 13, 14 years ago, when I started back on that temple, every Sunday morning, I can tell you that when I go to the temple and I leave the temple,
Mhm.
the message, there's always a message that
Oh,
resonates with
yes.
me. There's always a message that it seems that you're speaking to me directly, right?
Mhm.
That one of the speakers, one of the practitioners or the ministers speaking to me directly about it. And I was quite willing to just come to church on a Sunday morning, get the lessons them, come on my yard and be quite fine and okay.
Mhm.
And no involvement as such
Mhm. Okay.
until
Just taking a quick break here to ask if there is any question. Are there any questions coming in for Christine? Any comments on the platform as we, what would you like to know? What would, as our listeners take in the life experience of this amazing and powerful woman? What would you like to ask of her? Okay, while you put your questions together, we just continue. Christine, I mean, this is like a new phase of your life. You talk about your work in your company. How is that going? And how do you market yourself?
online. I'm not doing the best that I can do at this point in time, you know, because I have a website which I'm not utilizing. You know, I'm a part of this support group called Freelance Geniuses, right? Where we have weekly meetings in terms of helping each other and to do things. And I have a little one named Avalala, Ava. Let's ace it with Ava, who is that girl is like a whiz, a
Yes.
computer whiz, right? So they help us to a group of us to get ourselves together, get our derricks together. Yeah, so I do that. And I mean, I'm not doing it as much as I should because I get involved with other work, because work that does not come to me online is like a telephone call and say, oh, Christine, I'm writing a book. You can come help. I mean, I need some help, give me some cost and what have you. So I find myself doing things. All right. Like now, we're coming up with the Jamaica Employers Federation convention in what, 3 weeks time? And I'm going to that one, doing quite a bit of work with that one.
Yes.
I've taken on something else again to help my dear Tony. Tony, love you much. And I mean, and
The graphics for
he's teaching me a new skill,
Mhm.
right? In terms of, although I did learn that's about Canva some years ago, but I just did not follow through with it. So, he's rekindling that within me. So I'm learning to do what we call it now, the programs for the
The
online,
graphics.
to do that for, for the Sunday services and what have you.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I'm very involved. I'm very, very involved, and I find I get a lot of work outside of my online business.
Yes, boy, you really have had, one could call it a very colorful life experience. What would be next for Christine?
Oh, what is next for me at this particular point in my life? what I would love to do, if I can win the lotto and find a way to God give me a whole pile of money. I mean millions and millions. I mean a little thousand. I mean all heap of money. Right? I would like to build a home. My legacy I would love to be is a home for homeless people.
Mhm,
Whenever I pass homeless people on the road, it triggers me. It
mhm.
triggers something within me. You know, to say, oh dear Lord, God, please help them. You know what I mean? I say a prayer or I do something. Because I try to treat them, even the guys who come to the car and what have you, to treat them as people, as how I would want to be treated, you know. Sorry, I don't have any money today. I'm not going to throw money through the window on the ground and give it to them like I see a lot of, you know, some of our people do. But
Mhm.
that's what I'd love to do, to build a home for the homeless, young homeless men, because I think our men are at a disadvantage.
Okay,
Pay more attention to our women than we do to our men.
okay, and so, okay, so I get the desire to be able to attract a lot of
And to
women to
help the
make that happen.
temple
But
and to
what,
rebuild
I
the
mean,
temple.
so let us see now. You have this dream, you have this desire. How could you use the science of mind, the teaching that you have learned over these past nearly 40 years to make something like that happen? Tell us, let us say someone is listening and they also have a grand idea. Okay, and you know, who knows, the universe may just present a lot of jackpot. But in the meantime,
Yeah,
how do we use these principles to really move towards us achieving the goals and the desires that we have at, you know, in our hearts? What do we do? How do we use them?
and so I think, you know, it's designing my life, designing, you know, having the goals that I want to reach out to, making steps towards the goals, and really, really, oh my God, how do I put this now? Really understanding, immersing, and being, yeah, God provides for the trees, God provides for the flowers. Look how beautiful they are. Look at the abundance that surrounds me. I'm praying for abundance, but abundance is right around me. Is to immerse myself, is to be that success, to be that, oh dear Lord, to be that success, to be just to be that essence of spirituality, of what God can make, of the greatness that God can make, of the greatness that I am, to have
Wow.
that unfold, to have that coming out, you know,
Okay,
that
so
will attract the things to me that I need. That's
so what
that's
what
the
I'm
way I can
hearing, yeah,
explain it.
what I'm hearing is firstly to just acknowledge that right where we are is a great power.
Exactly.
Power that gives us, that power that provides for us, that power that
Mhm.
supports us, and for us to firstly acknowledge what we have in the palm of our hands. Yeah, I get that as a first step. I'm
And
seeing
yeah,
sorry,
that's
Christine,
a
go ahead.
start.
As a start, yes.
As
In
a,
the
as a
chat,
start, as a first step, you know. But you're gonna go through, you know, the purpose that you want. What is my purpose in life? What is my purpose there?
mhm,
You know what I mean? And the thing that I want to do is just, you know, just be kind, just treat people like how, you know, all the principles. It's like my core values. The principles and my core values are all wrapped up into one in terms of what I want to be. But I think deep down, I want to get to that stage. That when I say, Lord, okay, I need to get the temple moving in a way that it ought to go, is that because I'm so strong in faith and belief, it will just happen. I mean, I watch Reverend Ann sometimes, you know, and I mean, I smile because
mhm,
the things just happen.
mhm,
It just happens. It might be a little thing, but you know, all these little things are just build up, and you know, you put on one block and one block and one block and one block. It
mhm,
adds up, and it's just absolutely amazing
mhm,
when you believe, right? And another thing I do believe too is that if I can't explain it, if I can't do it, if I can't live it, if I can't manifest it, who else can I tell? Who else can I convince? If I can't do it for myself, how am I going to do it for somebody else?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. So you
I gotta
first have
get
to live it.
I first have to get
Yes,
me
yes.
I first have to get me into that space,
Mm.
you know, to live what I want to manifest to
Yes.
other people.
Christine, let me share some of the blessings that are coming through the chat. Very quickly here. Someone is talking about you being authentic. The person is hopeful one. Tony Henry says, love how candidly refreshing this is. Hi, Tony. Good to have you on board.
Hi, Tony.
I was asking about graphics for the program, or somebody talked about graphics for the program, and I think Tony explained an online platform, floor management, and graphic design. I think when you commented on Tony, he said, I think you shared your love, and he says, love you too. And Jennifer has said, powerful sharing, Christine, and you serve the temple in many ways. Now serving on the board of trustees. Thank you for being. What do you bring to the Temple of Lights board?
You know, when I was first invited to be on the board, my first thing was no. And I think there was divine discontent going through the temple. Right? And I said to myself, why the heck am I getting myself involved in that? You know what I mean? I was so happy just coming to the temple, listening to my sermons, enjoying it, having a little fellowship. I just got to go on business. And, you know, my grandson at Sunday school, and we're fine. But then the closer I got into it, the more integrated I got, I felt there was a discontent going through, right, for a while. And when I was first invited, I was like, no. And I remember I had a conversation with Lorna Phillips. And she said, Christine, you can't make any changes. You can't do anything if you're outside. You have to be inside to make changes, you know, or to volunteer or to do the things that you need to do. You cannot do it from outside. You have to be a part of the organization. You have to be involved with the organization to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I had her and I had somebody else. I think it was Jennifer. Good to Jennifer and Reverend
Michael?
Sonia.
Reverend Michael?
Reverend Sonia, who actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, with those three, that girl, and maybe there are other people, but I can't remember them right now. Guys, please forgive me. It happens to the best of us sometimes. Is that yeah, just go, and I'm saying, but Lord, but I can't go board the door. So the only way I can make changes, and I said, even changes like how people communicate with each other, how people talk to each other, you know, just the small things, just to make my contribution in small ways, you know, in terms of interactions and relationships and that kind of thing, you know, and I hope, you know, that I can make a difference there.
Awesome.
So
And I know that you will. I know that you will. Can you imagine the hour is almost upon us? You know, there's a time moves so fast when you're having fun. Reverend, and what is there anything that you would like to you know, ask Christine before we wrap up?
Just curious. You said you have interviewed so many personalities. Which one stuck out? Who really made a serious? Why you hold out your head, Christine?
She's going to pick up her pen.
It's something just fell off my work desk.
Okay. Which one of those persons that you have interviewed had an impact, the greatest impact on your life?
You know, I can't remember her name. It was when because when Reverend Elmer was I was pretty close. I would consider myself pretty close to Reverend Elmer when she was there. And I think we used to have these pastors
yes, from overseas, yes, right.
Yes.
And she used to ask you to make
sure
to do
interview
right?
them and what have you. And I think there's one, I can't remember his name for the life of me.
Tell us a little
I
about
know.
him and then we might
I
remember.
think he's an author also. And I
Dennis
think
Terry
he's sitting down
Jones.
in the Pegasus Hotel or what have you, what have you, talking. But I can't remember his name offhand.
Ah,
But I think it's teachings, what comes out, and what comes out of his mouth, how he talks, right? I find that people who are like on the same track as myself, as my brain is going, right? I find that I enjoy those interviews that I can learn something from spiritually,
mhm,
right? And I find that happens to me with the Dale Carnegie people who I've interviewed also, because it's the same kind of principles, be kind, don't criticize, smile, which I was doing all along.
mhm.
But it's just that there's always something to take home, to take away. There's always a takeaway. And I do enjoy that, just like you guys on your Sunday morning encouragement addresses, sermons, whatever you call them. There's always a takeaway. There's always something that you just write down and said, wow. And which makes me a better person, which
Wow.
I employ, and I employ that in my life. I employ that in my life, and I work it, and it works. Can't remember his name though. Gosh.
Oh,
Yeah. Because I remember, there was something. I think it was Reverend John who I think I heard it from. If you want to do the most good in the world, if you want to achieve the most good in the world, you won't achieve it through anything you say or do. You achieve the most good in the world through who you are. Right word, thought, and action. Our beliefs are worthless to others until we activate them in our own lives.
Amen.
And I
so
think
that's
I think
yes.
that's my affirmation that I live by.
Mhm.
You know,
That
I'm
is sounding
always
like
I'm always always activating
mhm,
the beliefs in my life. That my relationship with myself, my love affair with myself, my caring for myself. It's just stepping into the field of possibilities in terms of who Christine King, the one spirit is.
mhm. Wow, what a way to wrap up our program. Just sort of knowing that our experience in the world is really grounded on our being, who we are being. And
Yeah.
Tony Henry puts it beautifully. And I'm going to sort of shift it around a little bit. Tony speaks about professionalism, entrepreneurship, and corporate discipline is what Christine represented to me. So you are being professional, or the embodiment of professionalism, Christine, the embodiment of entrepreneurship, the embodiment of corporate discipline. And that is how you have navigated your life experience and how you have become what you call a breast cancer warrior.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
how you unfolded from that depressed little child in your bed and rose to thrive, to embrace new opportunities and to reinvent yourself. I'm truly getting that, and it certainly is an example to others, to persons who might be going through a similar valley of the shadow, or who might be just wondering, they might be very young persons starting their life in journalism and want to know, what do we do? How do I, as a young journalist, navigate this experience called life? Steve has a comment. He says, our beliefs are worthless to others until we activate them in ourselves.
Right.
Wow.
Believe in that so much.
May I add something? There's something else about Christine. Being in class with her, sometimes you get projects, and some of us may just superficially do them. That's not what Christine does. No matter how small the activity is, what you may consider small, she puts her professionalism and her allness in it. Reverend John had to point out, say, boy, you don't even bother go just halfway with anything. She go full measure with
deeply, yes.
everything that she does.
Yes.
She give it
yes.
the same attention to detail, same thing.
Mhm.
Oh,
So,
thank you,
Christine,
thank you, thank you. My heart is so pounding.
yes, awesome. It was such a pleasure having you this evening. It was such a pleasure. The experience was one where you shared candidly, authentically, and I certainly got the realness of the experience that you've had. There's this fallacy that those of us in this that practice the science of mind are living a totally, Zen-like life.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
the good thing about this teaching is that life is constantly occurring,
Mhm.
but we have learned how to use the tools that we have acquired over the years and apply them and make a difference to ourselves and our own lives, to
Mhm.
the reality of our life experience, to support and help others and make a difference in the world, and to create that world that works for everyone. Wow, thank you so much, Christine, for being on this on our program this evening. And I am going to,
Can I say one more thing before we go?
of course,
Can I, Reverend Anne, Jennifer Williams? I'll pray for you guys again tonight. I'll say a treatment for you. Because when they asked me on Thursday,
Yes.
when they asked me on Thursday, I was like, what? I mean, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to say? I mean, they had me, I was sleepless in Stony Hill last week, Thursday night, because it just kept on going over in my mind, over and over and over. And then you call me, you're going to talk back to me again. And then I was just like, okay, girl, just settle down. Just settle down, be
and
who you are
trust.
going to be, and it will all come to you. And that's exactly what happened.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. We have Auntie Lil. Hi, welcome from New York. She says, "Dear Christine." Well, she had some challenges getting in. Yes, Auntie Lil, we had some technical challenges at the beginning with our platform connectivity. But here we are. And she says she will watch the recording and catch up. And she says, proud of you, my Fidelitas sister.
Yeah, thank
We
you.
have
Yes.
a St. Hugh's fan out there.
Thank you. They're all St. Jude's. So we are
Yes,
St. Jude's past students, not old girls,
okay.
past students.
Past students.
Yes.
Our schools, we still call ourselves old girls,
No, we're not old girls, we're past students.
Oh, got you. Okay, friends.
Swans, the swans of St. Hugh's.
Yes. Friends, we are so glad that you were able to join us.
I'm glad I
I'm
joined.
going to turn to ask Reverend Ann in a little bit to do the vote of thanks. But certainly, if your heart is open and you feel free, please, we invite you to just hit our donate button, and you can make a contribution to our ministry so we can continue to be a beacon of light in the world. And I'd like to ask you, Reverend Ann, to do the vote of thanks and the closing affirmative prayer.
It is indeed my pleasure, Sister Christine, having been in class and working with you all these years, right? Part of my book room people as well.
I forgot that.
It's a wonderful experience to have somebody grounded in the same principles that we all believe in, and how you have utilized it to allow you to be that great, wonderful person you are. You really are an example. And I love you for what you do to, when I see, Kirill, he's so much a part of our young adult workshop, and you are there for him to ensure that he's part of our youth group. By the way, he's hosting on Sunday. So if you didn't ask you to bring him, he's here.
Oh.
He's hosting on Sunday. So it has been a wonderful, the accolades for who you are to this country in terms of your professionalism, your journalism, where you have been, who you have been associated. It's truly an example to our women and our people. Thank you, Christine, for being.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
And Reverend Anne, we just love for you to do our closing affirmative prayer.
Oh, yes, we truly give thanks. We give thanks for the life of God expressing itself into us, Christine King. We give thanks for her family, who have allowed her to be. We give thanks for each and every one of us. We give thanks for this truth that indeed that we so live by, allowing each one of us to truly experience our best. And as we converse, as we embody all these principles, I know for each one of us, and indeed for us as a community, that collective consciousness of fellowship and love goes to bless each and every one and spills out into our island, Jamaica, and indeed the very cosmos. That consciousness now goes with us on our assignments this evening. And I know that we are all well, because truly we individualize that power, that presence, that love that is indeed God, living Spirit Almighty. We thank you. And I release my word to law and know that all this is so. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Anne.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Reverend.
guys.
Thank you all.
Stevie G and Vance for your wonderful tech support this evening. And thanks to all of you who made that powerful choice to stay with us as we waited around for our tech issues to be resolved. Thank you so much for being a part of our experience this evening. We love you, we bless you, and have a wonderful and blessed rest of your evening.
Thank you all. Thank you very much.
You're
Tony, see you
welcome.
tomorrow.
You're welcome.
Blessings.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Stevie. Oh, and Vance. Oh, love you all.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a breath now.